History lends itself to the learning of facts, figures, monarchs, and that sort of thing. But that's not just it. We want the students to obviously learn facts and figures, but we want to use that to develop their understanding of the substantive knowledge, the second order concepts. So we're talking causation, valuation, significance. We want students to build their understanding of the story that we're teaching them. Now, our retrieval practice naturally gives us an opportunity to challenge and understand any sort of misconceptions. So as I'm going around the room and I'm asking questions and there's a wrong answer, and because quite a few wrong answers about the same thing, it gives me the opportunity to actually readdress that particular misconception. Retrieval practice is a key part of our toolkit, and there's many formats in which that can take. We've got our cold calling, we've got our mini whiteboards, we've got our open-end questions, we've got our comprehension questions as well. We have a quick quiz at the start of every lesson where it's 1 to 5 and it's recall. Now the questions get more challenging as we go on. We are asking them something about last lesson, last unit, last year in some of these questions. We really want the students to link these pieces together. Now we'll use that in the review to do open-ended question, cold calling questioning. So yes, I'm asking student A answer for number 1, then I'll ask student number 2, right, how can we develop it? What else do we know about this? So it builds that wider picture. So retrieval practice guides our schemes of work. Now, as I said, it links it to each previous unit taught. So even though we've taught religion in year 7, religion is getting retaught in year 8 and developed in year 9, in GCSE. So one of our GCSE units is on Elizabethan England, Catholics and Protestants. Well, that's going back and reusing some of the stuff we taught in year 8. So we're constantly addressing the long-term and the working memory, and we're developing the students' understanding. Students are constantly building, developing, and consolidating their understanding of how they approach history. As we improve and introduce more challenges to their understanding, rather than asking the student to do point, evidence, explain, for example, we're asking students to point, evidence, explain, and link. We want students to make the links between factors, which is what I was referring to earlier when we're talking about the development of religion, of authority. We want students to be able to make the links between each of these factors. Now, we also use homeworks quite extensively to add depth and understanding and any misconceptions to their understanding. Our weekly homeworks are sometimes fact-based. Go find me 10 facts about this. We use an online platform where we can set a variety of challenging questions where I can visually see, like question 12 is one that they all struggled on. I will then talk about that in the lesson. But also, especially at Key Stage 4, when we're setting exam questions as homework, we're reviewing, right, what else can we add to this? As an examiner, what am I looking for? What do we know about a 12-mark question? How many paragraphs do I need to write? And by the time we've started it and we keep developing it, at the start of year 10 to the end of year 11, students know how to address a 12-mark question. So that retrieval practice, that constant asking them, ultimately helps in the long term. Our curriculum is spiral in its nature, and although the topics change throughout the key stage, throughout the year, the concepts are always going to be there. So, for example, in year 8, we've just talked about dissolution of the monasteries, the relationship between Henry and the Catholic Church. I'm asking the kids to remember what we looked at in year 7 when we looked at medieval monarchs, when we looked at the relationship between Henry II and Thomas Becket. Why does he agree to be whipped? It's the relationship between the church and the king. So we're always building on that memory, that long-term memory, and even that working memory. We want the students to be constantly updating and consolidating their knowledge.